This is a Montie moment. I'm Johnny Montalbano. As we get you ready for week 4 of the National Football League season, and of course, it seems to be coming by quicker and quicker every single year, and that is indeed the case this year as we are already into week 4 of the league, where as we get set for the Thursday night matchup, which is going to be a great one in the NFC North, we got to deal with some injuries coming off of week number 3, including to a couple of quarterbacks and a big wide receiver. So as we get you ready for week number 4, a couple of the injury notes just real quick. Obviously, Derek Carr of the Saints left the game early against the Packers last week with originally a shoulder injury. It was discovered that he suffered an AC joint sprain and is considered week to week. So as bad as it looked, and in real time it looked really bad, the Saints actually did catch a little bit of a break that it was not anything more severe. So if he cannot go, we could be looking at Jameis Winston against his former team, the Bucs, come Sunday. But head coach Dennis Allen did say during his media availability on Monday that they'll evaluate Carr as they go throughout the week. They think that he dodged a bullet in terms of anything of real significance. They said he's been feeling better as the week's gone along, so they're not making any decisions as of yet. We'll probably know more when we do Football Friday later in the week. But as I said, if Carr cannot go Sunday, then we'll be looking at Winston against his former team, the Bucs, and that could be kind of a little bit of a blow to a short term to the Saints. We saw after Carr went out against the Packers last week, that game completely changed around, and the Packers rallied from 17 down, scored 18 consecutive in the fourth to come back and beat the Saints there on Sunday. Another quarterback that right now is dealing with an injury is Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. He's currently in concussion protocol as we air this, and he did play every snap in Sunday's 23-18 loss to the Steelers. But what was interesting was not meeting the reporters after the game and not knowing exactly when this actually occurred. So we know he was sacked 4 times. He was hit several other times by the Steelers defense. So not exactly sure when this might have happened. But if Garoppolo can't go Sunday, we could be looking at the lines of Brian Hoyer, possibly Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders as they take on the Chargers. And speaking of the Chargers, another big injury, wide receiver Mike Williams, who tore his ACL in the Chargers' win against the Vikings last Sunday. He couldn't put really any weight down. It's a big blow because he was a very prominent wide receiver to go along with Keenan Allen there. We saw when he did not play late last year and in the playoff game how much of a difference it was. He caught 7 passes for 121 yards and a score in the game last Sunday before he got hurt. So kind of a blow there for the Chargers, who did get a much-needed victory against the Vikings last week. And we'll see what happens here. We'll probably see more of rookie Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer there for the Chargers. Speaking of quarterbacks, this has been in the headlines a lot, especially locally in the New York area, but also been making the rounds around, and that is that the Jets did sign quarterback Trevor Siemian to the practice squad. Of course, a lot of talk with the Jets over the past week or two since Aaron Rodgers went out for the season was about Zach Wilson. And I got to tell you, I got into a big debate with this about people on my social media account. And if you have any thoughts about it, you can also tweet me at Montalbano and Wild. Gladly have a debate with you about this. Look, Trevor Siemian, and it's already been ruled that he's going to be inactive this week. Trevor Siemian is not a better option than Zach Wilson. All right, this is just what it comes down to. Look, the Jets are there. This game on Sunday is going to be so critical for them. But, I get Jet fans don't want Zach Wilson. I totally get that. But the idea of bringing in somebody like Trevor Siemian to have depth and that he's better than Zach, and for people to tell me he's better than Zach Wilson because he's not Zach Wilson is just complete nonsense. I mean, this is a guy that, has not won a game in the league since 2017. He couldn't even survive the Bengals as their backup with the situation there with Joe Burrow. And you're going to tell me that he's better than Zach Wilson because he's not Zach Wilson? I mean, that's just ridiculous, I see. Now that this all being said, we look at this week, and if the Jets can upset the Chiefs, which, look, anything's possible. We had 3 major upsets last week in the NFL. But if the Jets can beat the Chiefs, go to 2-2. The Vikings do get upset by the Panthers. They fall to 0-4. Then if I'm the Jets, I'm calling Minnesota right away, and I'm asking for Kirk Cousins because this team, the Jets are too talented to tank. That's another thing that I had in my responses in my mentions earlier this week about Siemian was, well, let's just tank the season. We go out there and get a quarterback. I got to tell you, look at this Jets team. Their defense is too good. They've got too much talent on the wide receiver side. They've got options at the running back that they're going to tank, and Robert Saleh, let's be honest, he's coaching for his life right now. I mean, this whole situation with Zach Wilson, which I understand you're trying to defend him, but when you're starting to lose some players in the locker room, and we've already seen some reports about that this week, this is his third year in the league. And I get that all their eggs were behind Aaron Rodgers, but if you're not going to make any progress here in year number 3, then he may not survive this year. And so I think you've got to go all in. If you win and go to 2-2 and you get a favorable matchup against the Denver Broncos in week 5, who are an absolute mess, I think they're more of a mess than the Jets are right now, then you know what? You've got to go all in, and I do everything possible to get Kirk Cousins. I mean, maybe not totally overpay for him, but you've got to go for it with what they have right now. So we'll see what happens. There's also a lot of real other bad teams out there, like the Chicago Bears and stuff. So we'll see what happens here with the Jets, but that is going to be one big thing to watch for. And of course, we will mention a lot more about this. I have a good feeling that we might get into this a lot more on Football Friday later on in the week. But let's get to the Thursday night game this week, because that's also why we are here on the Montie Moment, which is a great game. We usually don't have a lot of great Thursday night games to kick off weeks, but this one is going to be exceptional there in the NFC North between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Both teams come in at 2-1. The Lions come in as a 1.5-point favorite with Al Kirk-Haley on Amazon in this one. And when we look at these two teams, this is a matchup of two teams that could be getting healthier in time for kickoff. We got David Montgomery, the running back for the Lions, who could return, while the Packers may get back running back Aaron Jones, and we could be seeing even the season debut for wide receiver Christian Watson, who saved the Packers season up until this matchup in Week 18 last year. So that's something to watch. I'd still watch, though, for the status of left tackle David Bakhtiari there as game time approaches. But I like the way that Jordan Love has been playing through 3 weeks. Yes, there are going to be growing pains. We've seen that in the last 2 weeks there for Green Bay. They losing a 2-score lead to the Falcons there in week 2, but an equally impressive 17-point comeback in the fourth quarter against the Saints defense last week. I thought that was very, very impressive for them. And that's a very good Saints defense too. So I look at that. The Lions so far, you look at them. I mean, they played very well against the defending Super Bowl champions in week 1. They had a dud. I know they came back from 11 down, but it was kind of a dud against the Seahawks in week 2. Very nice effort, especially defensively, against a very sneaky Falcons team in week number 3. But I think when you look at this, I think the Packers are going to actually end their 3-game losing streak. That 1.5-point number, essentially a coin flip in this one. But although if you looked at our records with the 1.5-point spread there the last 2 weeks, not necessarily. This could even be a 1-point game. I'm leaning more towards the Packers in this one, so I am going to take them getting 1.5 at Lambeau Field, and I think they will improve to 3-1. And right now, what are the two best teams there in the NFC North? Because we know that the Vikings are at 0-3 and staring at possibly 0-4. I mean, they get upset against the Panthers. I mean, that's it. And the Bears right now are just a flat-out mess. They got absolutely destroyed against the Chiefs last week. So I just don't see getting anything better. And they're going to take on the Broncos on Sunday. Boy, you want to talk about a must-miss matchup. That 1-0-3 between those two. But this is a very good game to get started with week number 4. We'll see if we can get you started with another week. We had a good week last week in the picks. We'll try and get you another great week coming up this week with all the guys. I'll be back for Football Friday coming up this Friday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with all the guys as we get you set for week 4. We got a lot of injury news. Obviously, I have a feeling we might touch on the Trevor Siemian story with the Jets, see what happens with them as they try to salvage their season early on. My Giants are back in action with a huge Monday night game. So we got a lot of good football, NFL-wise, to discuss on Friday. I'll see you then. Also coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, a big college football weekend. Once again, we got a lot to look back at week 4 there and get you ready for week 5. So if you like football, this is it as we wrap up the month of September, get you ready into October. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you later on throughout the week. For more, check us. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameOnETB, on Instagram at GameOn_ETB. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Montalbano NY. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ETB Network, where if you like our Montie Moments and all of our content, you leave us a like. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, hit that notification bell so you know when all of our content is going to be coming out. You can check us out on etbpodcast.com for great blog posts about the NFL, about college football, about all things sports, and even much more there. And if you can't watch us, you can check us out on the go wherever you get your favorite podcast, download, and you can check us out on the go. So I'll see you throughout the week. This has been a Monty moment, and I'm Johnny Montalbano.